Bethany Warren here, and you've joined us for the weekly Our Millwall fan show with the Millwall No One Likes Us Talking team, which is broadcast every Friday evening. Enjoy!
Welcome back to the 2021-22 series of the Millwall No One Likes Us Talking, our Millwall fan show, in the 11th show of our new freedom post-lockdown. I'm your host, Gary Staff, and I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Debbie Julians, Stan Godwin and George Lampey.
Not everybody likes them, but they don't care.
With the international break upon us, let's look at two players that have joined us this season. So, we start with you, Debbie. What are your thoughts on Daniel Ballard, who joined us from Arsenal?
He has only made 3 appearances for the Gunners under 21 setup. He then made 3 appearances for Swindon Town on loan before spending the 2021 campaign at Blackpool in League One. Daniel, centre-back, went on to make 30 appearances for the Tangerines, scoring twice. As they won the League One playoffs, his form earned him international recognition, making his Northern Ireland debut in the Nations League encounter in Romania in September 2020. It was early business at the beginning of July when Gary Rowett brought him to the Den on loan for the season of 21-22, much to the disappointment of Blackpool, who had hoped to sign him on loan once again. That was very said on Instagram. They were very disappointed. Since he has been with us, his appearances in the back 3 have been constantly good, and he can pass very well. None more so memorable than the pinpoint cross from deep across the pitch to Scott Malone led to Jed Wallace scoring. Dan scored a great equaliser with his head for us at West Brom, and he scored his first international goal with his head as Northern Ireland breathed life into their World Cup qualifying campaign with a resounding 4-1 win over Lithuania. He generally appears very confident in his play and is an asset in our defence. Against Cambridge United in the Cup, so showed his ability to play from the right midfield too, by putting in accurate crosses to our front men. My expectations are simple. More. I like the Bananarama version of that. For Dan Ballard, though, that's more quality performances, more goals and more international cap this season.
Thanks, Debbie. George, what do you think about old Georgie Saville returning for, I think it's a 4th term this time?
Well, I'm glad you asked me that, Gary, about George, because if I'm going to talk about George, I'd like to start really from when he left us, because I think when he left us for that huge fee, it took this football club, our football club, a long time to replace him. I think he was sorely missed, to be honest, because he was at the top of his game. And we did miss him. Now, why that didn't work out for him at Middlesbrough, I've no idea. It seems to happen with some players. Some people it works out for, some people it don't. The one thing I'm pretty sure that none of us saw George coming back. I think that caught us all on the hop. I was very interested in seeing how he would perform after the way, how he left us and how good he was when he left. First off, to start off with, I thought he was a little bit, I wasn't disappointed, but he was, you didn't notice him in games. He was working hard. You saw he was working hard and passing, but there wasn't much going on. He didn't stand out. Although I would then say that in the last month, he looks like he's grown into the team again. He's coming on, maybe it's taken time for him to get used to us again. And I think our results have reflected that with his better performances. And I think that, I now notice that his passing's much sharper. He's winning the ball. I mean, once he starts scoring, and we know he can score a goal, then I think George Saville has the potential to be one of the finest championship midfield players, in the championship. And I think he will lead our midfield, really well. So I think we got a lot to look forward to with George Saville going forward.
Just on that point, George, Phil Coleman on, I think it's the first monthly podcast, he talks about players coming in who've been away sort of thing, and a bit of a prodigal son, old George Saville with us really. But he mentioned about players coming into the Premier League or into the Championship that have been in other countries, or, well, you can call Middlesbrough another country sometimes, but he's gone down. He's had to move his whole family down again. He's been up there 4 years. Obviously, he's now got a little girl and life's different. Do you think those, 9, 10 games in now? Do you think now, I think about game 7 and 8, he started to find his feet again? Do you think that was his, for want of a better way of putting it, his probation period again, getting back in the Millwall team? And he hasn't missed a game. He's hardly missed a beat in the team. And now he's coming back to the player he was, and now settling in, new style, new manager, and we're going to start seeing the best of him again.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. I think it does take time, and you've got to remember that he wouldn't have been leaving Middlesbrough if everything had been hunky-dory there. So, and we don't know what went on at Middlesbrough, but it obviously didn't work out for him. And he has had that quiet adjustment, although, as I've been saying before, he's playing very well. But now I just think his game's gone up, and I think the future's bright. If George Saville is leading our midfield at the front and playing to his potential, then we have a very good player in our midfield in George.
Stan, do you agree with those comments from Debbie and George?
Well, I do as it goes. I mean, but the only thing I would say, I'll deal with the George Saville position first, right? I mean, once he left us, to be perfectly honest, I never expected him to see him again, only when he was ever playing for the opposition, whoever they might have been, if he'd ever left Middlesbrough. Now, clearly, for whatever reason, once he was at Middlesbrough, I'm not so certain. You see, I think part of his problem might have been, I'm not so certain whether, I don't think that it was Warnock that signed him. I think it was the previous manager that signed him. I think it was Woodgate, right? He signed him. Now, the difference being, Woodcock plays a different type of game to Warnock, right? And therefore, Saville was a very good player technically. And, Warnock's not sort of known for too much. He places a lot of faith in technical players. And the other thing is, it's also worth pointing out, I remember something once that when we had a previous manager, Colin Lee, albeit temporarily, but we were talking about loans at the time, and he said, although George Saville, when he came back, wasn't a loan, but the point I was going to make was when he was asked about getting loans and could he get players from up north, Colin Lee said at the time, he said, well, the problem we have with that is that some of these players don't want to stay in an hotel for a number of weeks. Yeah. Now, it could well have been, I don't know, that George Saville's come down here, and it might well have been for a little while he was in an hotel until he got his accommodation sorted out, which has an effect on him. And as I say, I don't know whether that is the case, but that could well have been the case. And I'll never forget what Colin Lee said. As for Daniel Ballard, to be honest, I didn't know much about him before he came to us. And when I watched him the first time I saw him play, he impressed me straight away. He's not a centre half that's just going to lump the ball out. He's very good technically. He's always looking to play the ball because that's the way he's been brought up to do it, thankfully. And so no, Ballard is a good acquisition for us, and Saville, well, I was glad. I was a bit suspicious when he first came back, although I have to say I never doubted his ability, but I was just something about him. I mean, I'd heard stories that, when he was going to go, he was demanding to go once the offer came in for Middlesbrough and all this sort of thing. But he's come back and he's settled in well and he's doing really well. And as George says, and I think as a consequence to that, the form of the team has improved. Whether he's going to get a lot of goals, I don't know. I mean, the more goals he gets, the better. Although I don't know whether he's what you'd call a prolific goal scorer. I mean, I don't know what his stats are on that. But he's a good player, and they're both welcome additions, in my view.
Agreed. Right. Thanks for the thoughts there, guys. We'll take a break there and listen to Bethany Warren talking about Sands United.
We know that some men can struggle to talk about how they're feeling after the death of a baby. We hope that by building trust and a common bond, by playing together as a team, many more will be able to break their silence about baby loss and help others to do the same. Sands United FC has already saved the lives of men left feeling like they had no one to turn to in their grief. Are you a father who has lost a child? Talk to Sands United. They will help. Contact them on sufclondon@gmail.com. That's sufclondon@gmail.com. They will help.
I'm Gary Staff, and I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Debbie Julians, Stan Godwin and George Lampey. At last Sunday's match, Sands United played the match for Mum, and they remembered all the babies who passed away and marked Baby Loss Awareness Week with pink and blue flares. Send the pink and blue this week if you can. Our first guest tonight was born in Leeds and started his football journey with York City in 2004. The journey to York every week was a tough one, which made him contemplate calling it a day with football. Then football in the Czech Republic came knocking in 2007, and he made 49 appearances with Baník in the Czech Republic First League. Stints with Doncaster Rovers, Northampton Town and Yeovil followed before he arrived at the Den in 2014, where he made 137 appearances, scoring 8 goals. And he also kept the bench warm for a further 28 occasions. He was a firm fan's favourite and was warmly welcomed in the stands when he was out with injury. He left the Den in 2019, where spells at Scunthorpe and Carlisle followed, before he signed for National League club Bromley, linking up with former Millwall teammates Alan Dunn and Liam Trotter. It is, of course, the one and the only Byron Webster. Hello, Byron.
All right, Byron.
Evening, guys. You all right?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, Byron.
Good.
Hi.
Byron, so before I let you off to the crazy panel we've got on here tonight, since you left Millwall, can you still manage to get down the Den?
I've been down. When did I came to watch? Well, it was a good game to watch, but not really for the Millwall fans. When the Fulham at home, when Fulham were fantastic. Millwall didn't do their best, but that's the only time I've been down, really. I was in some posh tickets in the director's box.
It's nice out there, isn't it? It's staying out there. You know what it's like out there. You've been out there enough times, haven't you, Byron? So.
Hi, Byron. It's Debbie here.
Hi, Debbie.
I see Millwall picked you as a free agent from the Oval after you refused a new contract. Was it easy to come to Millwall, and your thoughts when you arrived to meet your teammates?
If I'm honest, that summer I had a few other options. I spoke to a few clubs, and I'd met. It was Mick Harford, who was obviously the chief scout, I think, at the time, at a fancy hotel down south, and then a second meeting with Ian Holloway. And I've told this story a few times. It's quite funny that me and my wife were going to a wedding. So she was along in the car with me as I was going to a hotel to meet Ian Holloway, thinking it was just him. And my wife was in the car because we were going to a wedding. So as we pulled up to the hotel, Ian Holloway's there with his wife. So I'm saying to my wife, "Okay, you stay in the car. I'll go and do this meeting. Hopefully it won't be long. We'll be straight on the road." Little did I know that Ian Holloway collared my wife out. She got interviewed by his wife, and I spoke to Ian Holloway. So we got back in the car, and my wife said, "Byron, I think we should go to Millwall." I was like, "Right, decision made." So she made the decision. If it went wrong, it was all her fault. And if it went right, it was win-win. So it was happy days.
Oh dear, that's great.
What's your Byron? Stan here, mate.
Yes, Sam.
You started life with the Lions under Ian Holloway, and then Neil Harris followed. Many of those who you played alongside and who we have spoken, we will describe the two managers as being like chalk and cheese. How would you actually describe the difference between Ian Holloway and Neil Harris?
Polar opposites.
Mm-hmm.
Both. Do you know what? Even though my time under Ian Holloway wasn't the best, he wasn't. And I know this might hurt Millwall fans. He wasn't a bad guy. He wasn't a bad manager. If anything, he was a very good manager who was just too intense. Tactically, very aware, very astute with everything. But what you see of him on the TV is exactly how he is 24/7. He was, emotional, invested, intense. Whereas the gaffer, well, I still call him Gaffer, Chopper, was, don't get me wrong, he was still very intense on the training pitch if things weren't going right. But he just brought a calmness. He trusted the players we had. And I've said it a number of times, the gaffer didn't have to manage us. We managed ourselves. He was just there to point us in the right direction. And if a tweak needed tactically, he'd be the one who'd make that decision. But when you had the likes of, for instance, I'd say myself, Morrow, TC, Willow, we were managers on the pitch anyway. So, the gaffer trusted us. So I'd say that's the main difference, really. Ian Holloway was very intense and emotional, probably more tactically aware than the gaffer. But the gaffer, he just got a great group. His man management were fantastic and he believed in us.
Hello, Byron. It's George here. Good to talk to you again, mate. Hello. There was a great bunch of players and big characters who you played across the back four with in your time with us. Scott Malone was about in your first season and he has since returned to us. How do you remember Scotty? And you can comment on his taste in clothes if you would like to.
Yeah, Scotty was always a good character. Great guy. His choice in clothes and cars and things like that. He was very out there, but hell of a footballer, sweet left foot, and just one of the lads, especially when the gaffer got in, he got the characters right in the building, and I think it just proves that I am a firm believer that only certain characters can play for Millwall. You see a number of, I want to say, good footballers who come to the Den and don't perform. They might go and leave and still have a very good career, but Scotty's proved that he's done it twice now. He's been at the Den, he performed there, he then got his moves and did fantastic, and he's able to come back to the Den. And I think that shows a lot about Scotty's, personality and character.
We as Millwall fans, we like to think we're a special club, and we hear players like yourself who have played for us not that long ago say things just like that you have to be maybe a special type of player to play for our club, and I'm amazed at that. Doesn't that apply everywhere, Byron?
It does, but I think there's a what's the word? When people come to Millwall, they believe something. The hype, it's more pressure. The fans are more firmer and honest, which is true. The number of times you get told when you go into your car, you were rubbish today. I mean, yeah, I was. But you have to be a certain person to take that and believe in that. That football now, there's a lot of, I call them flaky people. They love the fact, and I'm going to talk about footballers first. They love the fact that they're footballers. They'll post on Instagram, they'll post on Twitter. But as soon as, I don't know, are you allowed to swear on this? But as soon as the shit hits the fan, as soon as the shit hits the fan, they're nowhere to be seen. They want everything nice. Football isn't nice. Football's the most emotional game ever, up and down, from fans, from players, from things that happen on the pitch, off the pitch. You know what I mean? Like, it's a crazy, crazy business, being dropped from a game, playing from games. And I just think that because Millwall fans are honest, and don't get me wrong, like, both ways. If you're doing bad, they'll tell you. But when you're doing well, that's why I have such respect and I love the Millwall fans. They will back you to the hill. There's no one else you'd want behind you. And I just think that footballers that come to the Den might want it easy. And, football isn't easy. You need to graft. You need to get the Millwall fans on side. If you run through a brick wall for them, they'll do anything for you. And then the skill that players have and whatever else, they'll let that shine through. But you ferry out of a tackle or don't go for a header, you're done. It's a fact, you're done.
That's very true.
So that's the way for it is.
I mean, what you say there is absolutely spot on, and it don't take them long to suss out the fairies, for the want of a better expression. You know what I mean?
Definitely, and that takes away from Millwall players, that we've had that are fantastic footballers. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, oh yeah, you want people who head it and kick it and get stuck in. No, that's not the case. Willow, for instance, he went through a tough part. He had to prove himself again, like I had to prove myself. And he's loved by Millwall fans, and he is a genius on the football pitch. It's not necessarily Millwall fans. Millwall players are just have it and rough and tumble. No, there's some very good footballers across the years, but you have to get the respect of the Millwall fans, and by working hard is the main thing.
You got to have the passion, haven't you?
Definitely. And like I said, I go back to it, when I was there, we had a lot of Northerners there, and I'm not saying you're always I want to say, a disadvantage, especially like saying to going to a club like Millwall. You need to earn your stripes, and I think us Northerners, or like, for instance, do you remember when what was he called? The guy from Watford, begins with F. I can't remember his name. Midfielder came in, and he was a flary, silky player, and he came in, and he put a couple of tackles in, and the fans were buzzing off him. And you just think, yes, you've got it, pal. You know what it's about. Then your flair can come out, and you can show the skill you've got. So that's what I mean. Millwall fans demand, as a lot of fans do, but a lot of fans won't say anything, or they'll hide behind a keyboard and write it. Millwall fans will tell you.
But it's nothing like that roar when it's behind you, is there?
But that's what I mean. If you get the fans on side, Christ, there's no stopping you. There really is no stopping you, and funny. That shows from the success when I was there, that we had.
It's funny you say that, Byron, because the other day I come across a document which I'd prepared when we just before you come. Well, I'll say just before you come. It was a little while before you come. But when we played in the semi-final of the playoffs in 2010, and we had Huddersfield in the second, it was the second leg was at our place, right? I mean, we won the game 2-0, and the Huddersfield players admitted that they were before they took the pitch to play properly, they'd been frightened out of their life by the crowd. And what I'll do, I'm going to redo that things that was written in the paper about the crowd that night. I mean, they absolutely frightened the life out of them, and we won it 2-0, and it was the crowd that done it. And papers like the Daily Mail will normally slag us off, was singing our praises the next day. And I mean, it was the best time I've ever seen down there for the atmosphere and the crowd, and it frightened the life out of the Huddersfield. And that Lee Clark was the manager at the time, and he used to go balmy about it.
It does. Like I said, the story I've told a number of times when we played Leicester, and there was a throw-in to be taken, and the young fullback, won't mention his name, didn't want to take the throw-in. He can deny it or whatever. It is a fact. We saw it. He didn't want to get the ball off the Millwall fans, and we knew that time we were beating them. There was no way. And it is a crazy thing. I go back to when I first signed, and Danny Shitu was in the tunnel. And he had a thing where he would try and intimidate the players just by shouting, just shouting a load of nonsense. And I saw that, and I'm thinking, Christ, this is proper. He not only are the fans winning for us, we've won in the tunnel before we've even kicked a ball. And that was just bred through Danny. Been at Millwall for so long, and that was his way. And then you go to the younger lads when we had Tomo coming through. Tomo biting at people's ankles, making the tackles, passing it off. Sid, I know Billy Mitchell's doing it, and Danny Mack's in there. When you've got them boys who, and this is not saying we didn't care, but they're Millwall boys. Do you know what I mean? That you see that, and it breeds through to the older players or the people who haven't been at the club for so long of what it means. And it becomes infectious, and it becomes like I'd say I've become part of the Millwall family now.
Yeah,
very much
absolutely. I met Sean Cummins when he turned up at the Den for our recent cup tie with Leicester.
Yeah.
And we reminisced about the last-minute winner he scored against them when they were reigning Premiership champions, should I say, Leicester. How do you remember that cup run from Southend to Braintree to Bournemouth to Watford to Leicester and then Spurs?
Do you know what? I was literally talking about it today. Someone asked me, because we've got the FA Cup qualifier on Saturday, what's the longest or the furthest I've got in the cup? And I couldn't remember the other 15 we played, but you just said there, Braintree. It's a mental run we went on as a club. But we always knew if we had a home game, we'd win. It didn't matter who it was, especially after we beat I can't remember the first, was it Leicester the first team we beat at the Den?
No, you beat
Bournemouth and Watford.
Bournemouth to start with.
Bournemouth, yeah. So, but when we
was the
beat
first,
Bournemouth,
yeah,
when you beat
Bournemouth,
Bournemouth, yeah, we just knew. But some good times, that's what I mean. Good times. We weren't good when we played Tottenham. We got his asses felt like, but no, it was good times. And Shawnee scoring that goal, the most chilled out. He had ice running through his veins. Nothing got him phased or anything. Even when he scored, I don't think it was that emotional. But
it's funny you say that, Byron. I asked him about it because I was on the table with Debbie at the time, and he said I used to play as a striker when I was a kid, and I just rolled back the years.
Yeah, but he was that chilled, wasn't he? He got through. I think it was Greggs who laid it off for him, and you're thinking, what the hell are you doing up there, Sean? Get back here. And he slotted it in, and hell of a goal. But
It's
like
certainly cool, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. But that was Shawnee, most chilled out guy you'll ever meet. But yeah, there was some great results. Like I said, yeah, Watford we beat, Leicester, Bournemouth. But yeah, good cup run it was.
Yeah. Lovely guy.
And perhaps if we'd have played Spurs at our place, I'm not saying we would have won the game, but it might have been a different type of game altogether.
1,000,000%. But do you know what? This is one bit that I'm not very good at remembering games or what happens in games or afterwards. But I remember, was it 6-0 we got done? And I remember going up to the Millwall fans and them clapping us off. And I'm thinking, there's an example that we've got as arses felt this game, but the Millwall fans have appreciated how hard we've worked in this game, not given up. And that was probably one of the best moments at Millwall, if I'm honest. Obviously, we had some very good ones, but the way the fans appreciated us that day was fantastic.
Tell you what, bad thing I noticed about that, and I felt sorry for him, and it probably was his sort of the beginning of the end of his Millwall career, was Tom King. When he was in goal, he didn't deserve 6 goals putting past him really that day, did he?
No, he didn't. But do you know what? King is a very, very good keeper, and I still believe there's time for him. Obviously, he's at Salford, but he's got everything to be a top keeper. And maybe it's just because he's still still young for a keeper anyway. He's got size, he's got a hell of a strike on him, he's commanding. I just hope that, he fulfills what I think his potential is, because he could definitely play at a higher level.
Excellent.
George here again, Byron. Thinking about the captains that you played under at the Den, how would you rank them?
Oh, good question. Well, I'll go for number one. Number one's me pal Morrow. He just, what you see is what you get with him. He might not train the best every day, but on a pitch, he'd just do anything. If he was having a bad game, he'd make sure the centre half he was playing against had a bad game. He knew what he was good at. He knew how to lead. Don't get me wrong, he wasn't overly vocal, but when he spoke, everyone listened. He was the general. And yeah, he's just, for me, a top guy, top leader, who will prove it again by becoming a very good manager as well.
Agreed. And he's doing a pretty good job at Cardiff at the moment. Right, Byron, it's been absolutely brilliant to speak to you, and I know that we all get the Beavers and West Yorkshire show on the soon. We look forward to that happening. But before you go, prediction for Saturday when we play Luton at the Den.
Do you know, I know there's been a lot of draws for Millwall. I know they've won the last 2, but I think they'll keep going. I think the international break came at a good time for them. Obviously, hopefully had a few days off, recharge the batteries. I'm going to go for and this might surprise you, 3-1 win to Millwall.
Really?
Take that.
See, that's why you're
Reputation
much. That's why you're much loved at our football.
Do you know why it is? Because Luton always, don't get me wrong, they play some nice football. They'll overplay it. Millwall will nick it 2 or 3 times through Jed and Bennett and slot 'em in.
Lovely job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Byron, it's an absolute pleasure as always. Always welcome back.
Yeah.
Goodbye,
Byron.
Yeah.
Look after yourself, mate.
Yeah.
No,
Cheers,
we'll do,
Byron.
guys, and hopefully see you all soon.
Yeah.
Bye,
Good, mate.
Brian.
Yeah.
Good to talk to you.
See you later on, guys. Be safe. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Byron. We will take a break there and listen to Debbie Julians and Harvey Brown talking Lions Food Hub.
First of all, let's hear from Harvey Brown.
Have you heard of the Lions Food Hub? It is now located in the Millwall Community Trust car park. That's beside Millwall's Den in Ballina Road. That Millwall Lioness, Kelly Webster, is involved. Don't forget to help the Lions Food Hub if you can. Thank you.
As Harvey said, they need support, and you can help if you can by making a one-off or a regular monetary donation online at Banquet, that is BANKUET, or on a Saturday you should make donations pre-match at the hub about 50 metres down from the Lions store. Alternatively, you can also contact the team via their Twitter and Facebook sites.
I'm Gary Staff, and I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Debbie Julians, Stan Godwin, and George Lampey. As things get tighter for families with energy poverty, food poverty is likely to further increase more. If you can help, your kindness will be much appreciated and lessen the burden on those at risk. Next up, we hear from the wonderful Ellis Barr.
Ellis here. Thank you for watching my videos. Now to hear what the Millwall Lionesses and Romans have been up to, and to hear who is next up for Gary Rowett and the Lions. Come on, Millwall!
Thanks, Ellis. Millwall Romans faced Soho in a bid to step up further in the GFSN Cup and not be the beaten finalists this season. Let's hear what happened and what is coming up next for the Millwall Romans and Pride. Eamon spoke with their General Manager and player Paul Loding.
Hi Paul, just what was the game like on Sunday as you start the journey to do one better this season and win the GSN Cup?
Hi Eamon. It was a good win. A good win for us on Sunday. We played over the dreaded Hackney Marshes on a very poor grass pitch, which never suits us. It was quite a narrow pitch. Our style of play, we like to, obviously at St Paul's, like to play it out from the back and try and use the wings as much as possible. I think we struggled for the first 20 minutes or so, but while we adapted to a different style of play. They had a couple of attacks, to be honest. They were a bit poor in defence in the first sort of 20 minutes, half an hour. A couple of chances from them. We ended up 1-0 down within about 25 minutes. It just kind of spurred us on a little bit. We started going a little bit more direct. A couple of passes at the back and then trying to get through the channels down the line, and that seemed to work. And we nicked a goal just before 5 minutes before half time, and then literally at the last minute of the first half we managed to nick a second goal. Going into the second half 2-1 up, it was more of our game to lose, and I think then they had to change their tactics into pushing everything they could forward. Obviously a cup game, it was always going to be a bit of a battle. And you could tell, again, halfway through the second half, they were getting a bit more frustrated. And we just kept hitting them on the counter-attack and scored a couple of good goals in the second half to make it 4-1. And I think they nicked one. To be fair, it was a good strike, 25 yards out. Should never have got to that position, but hit it well and one in the top corner to make it 4-2. But I think after we'd scored the third and the fourth, it was a bit more comfortable and just controlled the game a little bit more.
So who are you going to face in the next round of the Cup?
The next round of the GFSN Cup had already been drawn, so we knew we were against a team called Left Footers. Left Footers, not the, trying to be horrible to them, they're not probably the strongest team in London. They don't enter a league, they always enter the Cup. We'll be playing away to them in early December. And after that, it could be anyone across the UK. And hopefully we don't get a Scottish team away. That's the worst draw we could get. But Left Footers will be playing in the first weekend in December.
That's great. So what's up next for Romans and Pride?
So this weekend we do have a break from competitive games. We're heading over to Wormwood Scrubs. One of the teams that play in the league, London Titans, hold an annual tournament. It's a really good day out. It's all the teams from across London and a couple from across the UK will be heading down to Wormwood Scrubs. It's an 11-a-side tournament on Saturday, 25-minute games, and we play all day. We've had quite a good track record on this tournament over the last few years. We'll see. We'll try out some new players as well, and it's a good day out. Then we're on a break. Then the following week, where both teams will be at home. Got a double header in the afternoon, so the Romans team will be kicking off at 1:30 against Stokey. Stokey, very good side. They're getting some really good results. They've really come up over the last couple of years. It's going to be a very, very tough match. And our Pride team will be kicking off around about 3:30 at St Paul's, and they're playing Stonewall, which hopefully we'll be able to get some points back from them.
How about prediction for Saturday's match when the Lions face Luton Town at the Den?
Prediction for Saturday, obviously coming to the Den, which is good. Luton mid-table at the moment as well. I can see us picking up points, so I'm going to say 3-1 Millwall.
Well, I'll take that result all day. So you attended the Den for an interview with the Sun newspaper on Tuesday. What was their interest?
Yeah, so a journalist from the Sun, a gentleman called Paul Jiggins, contacted Millwall direct and had heard about us and was really curious. He wanted to come down and just sort of have a chat with us. Myself and John Goodyear met him. He was just really curious to find out why we exist, what we exist for, the progress in the LGBT community generally within football. Are we going in the right direction? It was really good. So we went pitch side and had a really good chat with him, and he was very inquisitive. And I think, as a lot of people, when we speak to, it's like, how comes Millwall are doing this? That the club that has a reputation of being quite aggressive and quite troublesome are actually the ones leading the way in this area. And he was really curious about how we've coped and how we've got on. And I think we just reiterated that what an amazing club Millwall is for doing this, and how welcoming everybody has been, and how much of part of the family. We straight away, we just feel part of it now. We feel part of something really big and really special. And I think we're all really proud to don on, the Millwall kits, wear the Millwall badge, and walk around in the tracksuits, which we all do coming backwards and forwards to games.
Great. Cheers, Paul.
Cheers, Eamon. Guys, you noticed that Eamon's interview included the piece that was in the Sun newspaper. What were your thoughts on this, gents?
I'm delighted. When we went to St Paul's all that time ago, first off, and we met, Paul and all the team, and I'm just, I may have said this many times on this show, but I remember when we interviewed him, and he kept saying to me that how they felt safe at Millwall, and I just thought that was such a marvellous thing. When I came away, and I've had a very, I felt very close to the Romans since then. I really, have an affinity with them, and I just think and it's lovely to see that they get all this, this recognition that's going on, and also our football club do, because they deserve a lot of praise also.
Debbie, do you agree?
I totally agree. I should think we should be very, very proud of it, and they shine for us, like the Lionesses do as well. Funny enough, I was at Riverside School today, and our Emily Stanley was there as well, and as part of them. So I'm very proud of it, and I think everyone should be.
Stan?
Well, I concur. I mean, I read the interview today in the paper, and I put something out on Facebook where I turned around and I'm talking about the club as a whole, where I said that we do not imitate, but we are a model to others, and that's true. Now, this is a bit of forward thinking and by Millwall Football Club, and rightfully so, and the benefits are there to be seen, and long may that continue. I mean, when we start, I think sometimes the problem is that we talk about a football club. Well, years ago, a football club was you turned up 22 weeks of the year or whatever it was. you played the games, you finished where you was, and then that was it until the next season. There was no involvement in the community. That's simply not the case today. It's a different. We live in a different world, and football clubs have a greater responsibility now. And we should lead the way on it, and rightfully so. And we've got nothing to be ashamed of, and we've got everything to be proud of, in my view.
Absolutely.
100% agree.
Yeah, and especially what Sean does with the community trust as well.
Crown jewels, mate. Crown jewels.
Yeah, absolutely.
And our other crown jewel, the Lionesses, they made it 3 weeks off the spin by defeating Whiteleaf by 3-2 at the weekend over at Rotherhithe on Sunday. And there was a new goal scoring heroine. And Jeff Burnige reported on that for us.
Jack Wheeler's first match as Lionesses manager resulted in a brilliant 3-2 win last week against Whiteleaf. The team started a little nervously in front of the new manager and found themselves 2-1 down at half-time, but after a strong talk by Jack and the staff, they responded well, and to be honest, they were dominating in the second half, won the game 3-2. Of course, the big talking point is that Chloe Burr got a hat-trick, and that was a brilliant start for her under Jack Wheeler. This coming week, they are away at Denham in West London in another important game where the Lionesses will be hoping for 3 more points to keep Jack's winning run going.
Improving form for the Lionesses, and maybe Chloe Burr will lessen the disappointment of losing prolific goal scorer Abby Dale last season. Millwall Romans rock on, and the Sun newspaper becomes interested in the LGBT plus teams. What about those sides, guys? What about the Lionesses? Debbie? I'll go to you, Stan, then first.
Well, the Lionesses, I mean, I've mentioned this on the last couple of occasions. I mean, it was always going to be a difficult season this season because they got promoted. And then we found out that the previous manager had gone, but they'd actually managed to get a couple of wins, and they're very much on a learning curve. I mean, I remember a couple of weeks ago, Ted was talking about them, and I happen to agree with what Ted was saying about them then. And I think at the end, this is a work in progress. And I think come the end of their season, I think they will be in a respectable position. I didn't realise how many players actually been released at the end of last season. And that perhaps and it would have seemed to me there was a lot of players released, and that might be one of the reasons that we found it a bit difficult. I don't know, but onwards and upwards. That's my view, and I think they'll be fine at the end of the season, and then it's all about getting ready for next season.
George, do you concur?
Yeah, I do. I don't agree with Stan very often on any subject whatsoever in the world, but I do on this somewhat one. I think this is going to be, as Stan said, a learning curve for the Lionesses this year. And they're playing in a lovely. They've got a new manager playing a lovely stadium. I think the future's bright for the Lionesses, and I'm just really once again happy with the way it's all unfolding at Sort of Road. I just think it's great actually, and I think it will bear fruit all the way through, and will reflect not only on our football club but on them. And I just think it all works, and anyone that's been there will just see it in action. It will succeed because it's just laid out so nicely.
Mm. I actually saw them at Saltdean play, and the girls are so enthusiastic. And now they've got the new team, the manager, and there's just enthusiasm going forward. I think they're going to do very, very well, and they're growing in strength and confidence as well. So, as I said, I met up with she puts her name as Stan, but obviously Emily Stanley, and so eager and really they want to succeed.
Can I just say, I remember we went down to Salter Road, and one of the guys that was with us was a guy called Mitchell Elliott, right? And we'd been round, we'd done a bit of a tour of the place, and I said to old Mitch, I said, what do you reckon of all this then, mate? And he said this to me, and I've never forgotten it. And he turned around and said to me, Stan, he said, I knew Millwall Football Club, he said, was involved in the community, he said, but after what I've seen here today, he said, and this was about 11, 12 o'clock at that time, he said, I didn't realise just how deep our involvement with the local community went, he said. He said, this has been a real eye-opener for, I mean, it was not only an eye-opener for him, but it was an eye-opener, I think, for all of us. But I'll never forget what he said on that. Never, ever forget it. It's not just about a football club no more. It's all the other bits are involved in it. And people, people need to get their heads around that. But anyway.
Oh, it's so well said, Stan, and I completely agree. But my comment on the Lionesses, they had a slight setback this summer with a manager changing. But look, they're pushing on. They're in a new league. They've been given the opportunity to push on slightly higher level, and probably where they deserve to be as well. So, and now it gives them that chance to push on, maybe not get promoted this year, but maybe get promoted next, and then start driving back up to where they deserve to be after the disappointment a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah.
Right, we face Luton at the Den this weekend, and unfortunately Henry Stato Morgan is without a laptop currently and therefore unable to bring us a preview. However, here are my thoughts. We have home backing in the Championship on Saturday afternoon as Nathan Jones's Luton Town travel to the Den. Past meetings suggest it could be one to remember, with 6 of the 8 Championship games we've played since 1992 having seen both teams find the net. Goals have been an issue for us a bit of late. It's been 6 Championship games since we last scored more than 1, which suggests we have problems finding the net. But I can see it being a bit of a different story on Saturday against Luton. Nonetheless, we do have one of the meanest defence in the league. What do you reckon, guys? I'll start with you, Stan.
Well, it's funny you say that because the last time we played Luton at home, they was on a bit of an eye then, or on the rise then, and they come to us and we beat them 3-1, I think it was, or 3-0, and they never, and they never sort of got to the dizzy heights again after that. So no, I mean we're more than capable of beating Luton, and it'd be interesting because if old Fred's playing, I mean I should imagine he'd get a good welcome. Whether he thinks it's going to be good's another matter, but no, I know I'm confident. I think we can pick up the 3 points, providing we do what we're required to do, and then I think we'll be okay. From the first whistle, we have to be working hard, and we have to defend from the front and then close them down, and don't let them get back in. Don't let them get into the game. We've got to keep them out of the game.
What do you think, Debbie?
It's a great fight back last season there when George Evans scored the equaliser and the game at the Den on the 20th of October, just a short of 12 months ago, saw us win 2-0. There you go. Since then, Nathan Jones has brought in quite some players, including former Lion Fred Onyedinma from Wycombe Wanderers. Draws have been a big feature of this season, but have recorded those 2 big wins against Coventry 5-0 and Peterborough 3-0. So despite that, the trickiness of Adebayo and Cornick with 9 goals between them. I'm going for a Millwall win by the odd goal, and I'm saying 2-1.
And Georgie boy, how you doing?
Well, I think Nathan Jones is quite a good manager at Luton, actually. And I see that they've had not doing too badly at all. I think we are beginning to turn a corner. We've had a couple of nice little results, and we haven't been beaten for a while. I see Millwall playing, beginning to come on stream a little bit here, and I think Millwall are going to win this 3-0 on Saturday. I think we are actually going to turn a corner and start scoring more than 1 goal for an occasion. So, yeah, I'm quite confident for once. And I would like everybody to know that I haven't said a draw tonight. I've actually said we are going to win 3-0.
Well, that is great. I mean, I have to say, Jurassic, that is groundbreaking.
Stan, you didn't actually give us a prediction. What was your prediction?
Well, I'd go 3-1 or 3-0, whatever.
And I'll top in with a 2-0 as well. So fingers crossed that will be, well, just hope we get a victory this weekend to make it 3 in the spin.
Yeah.
Right, guys, we'll take a break there and hear what fantastic fanatics can do with a little bit of help from ourselves. And that's all of us.
Hi, I'm Richard Gordon, and I'd like to invite you to become a Fantastic Fanatic. Fantastic Fanatics is a great way to raise funds for your sports club. Sign up today, find your club, and securely register your everyday debit and credit cards. Every time you spend with our retail partners, they pay a percentage back to your club. It costs you nothing, and you can win cash prizes along the way. Visit fantasticfanatics.com and help your club be the best it can be.
I'm Gary Staff, and I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Debbie Julians, Stan Godwin and George Lampey. Spending through Fantastic Fanatics site is giving to the community trust. Our next guest tonight is a person who goes back and forth between his home on the continent of mainland Europe and his home in central London. He is a friend of the show, a season ticket holder. He is the man for Teramo in Italy, who follows the Lions and supports his home side, Teramo Calico 1913. Hello and welcome, Gianluca Sardi.
Hello, hi everyone, and thank you very much for inviting me to the show.
Okay,
Gianluca. Pleasure, Gianluca. Hi, Gianluca.
Hi everyone.
Hi, Gianluca. Before I let you off with these rowdy bunch tonight, you featured in a recent programme with Bradley Blackmore outside the Den on a match day. Can you share what you were doing to the listeners?
Yes. Thank you so much for asking. It was a great privilege for me to remember a great Millwall fan, Tommy Blackmore, before the Blackpool game in August. And Tommy passed away 6 years ago when he was just 21 years old, and he was killed near Tower Bridge. And since he also liked Italian football, I decided to give his brother a personalized T-shirt of my hometown club, Teramo Football Club, with the name of Tommy Blackburn on the back. And so I was very honored to do that, and it was very appreciated by everyone.
That's a beautiful story.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah. Hi, Gianluca. It's Debbie here.
Hi.
Hello. I love your accent. It's gorgeous. What different environments you moved between? What drew you to follow Millwall, and when coming to London, and what did you say your Italian friends about following the Lions?
Yeah. I have been following Millwall since 2008, and since I work between Italy and the United Kingdom, I'm a senior lecturer at the university, and I'm also a lawyer in Italy and in London. And so I decided after the Freedom Day in July and the reopening of football grounds to get a season ticket, and I spent the majority of my time in Fitzrovia in London, and since I'm a season ticket holder even at Teramo Football Club in Italy, I have to travel a lot. I have to travel very, very much in order to follow both teams, and I attend many Millwall away games too, so I really love the place, the area, Millwall fans, the atmosphere. It's like a second home, the Den for me, absolutely.
Lovely, great.
George here, Gianluca. Who of our new additions this season do you think will make the biggest difference to our overall performance?
I think that we are looking very, very solid now defensively, and I think that the home crowd will give us that fundamental support in order to get a lot of points, and we are unbeaten in 7, if I'm right, and so I'm very optimistic about the future. I don't know if we will be able to reach the playoffs, but I saw players that are much more confident than it used to be in the past. The home support is fundamental. The Den is a special place, and so I'm very, very optimistic about the season and the future in general.
Gianluca, Stan here, mate. It was great to
Hi.
meet you recently. Are you happy with the style of football that we play, or would you prefer a return to our long ball game?
I like how we play, and I really think that Gary Rowett is being able to make every player to express his own talent, and we were a bit unlucky during the first games due to a lot of injuries, but now that even Jed was able to get back to the pitch during the Bristol game and in the following games too, I like our style of play. Maybe sometimes I would like to see a more offensive attitude, particularly during some home games. Yeah, definitely yes, but I'm satisfied with the overall style of play. We are one of the best defenses in the league, and if we manage to score some more goals, we will become a very dangerous team for anyone. Absolutely.
Well, I have to tell you, Gianluca, that was music to my ears, mate, and I happen to agree with you. And but no, I mean, in terms of if we need to go on the offensive more, that's fine. But no, I'm happy with the style of play. Play out from the back and move up the field. That's me.
Yeah.
I actually agree with you, Gianluca. There, we do need to be more offensive. We are a good defensive side, but we do need to be a little bit more offensive to try and put a bit more pressure on these teams. Gianluca, absolute pleasure to have you on the show. But before we go, can you give me a prediction for Luton this Saturday, please?
Yes, absolutely. I expect it to be a very tough game because after the international break, things are never easy. But I think that with the support of our wonderful crowd, it's nearly a local derby because Luton is not far away from London, as all of you know. I would say that we will be able to win 2-1. Against the Hatters on Saturday.
Same as me there.
Brilliant, Gianluca. Take care, Gianluca, and it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, my pleasure. Absolutely. Thank you very much again.
Ciao.
Cheers.
Thank you, Gianluca. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
It's fabulous.
Our final guest this evening is a very familiar figure across social media. He is the man that seeks to remove the stigma around men's mental health. He is the leader of a group called the Proper Blokes Club, who can be found on both Facebook and Twitter. Let's say hello once again to Scott Johnson.
Hello, guys.
Scott.
All right, Scott.
Hi, Scott.
Hello.
Hi. Hi, Scott. It's Debbie here.
Hi, Debbie.
Hi. I must say, I've got to say, I think it's absolutely fantastic what you do. But
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I have seen some great walks that you and your walkers and talkers have undertaken. All fantastic stuff. How many members do you have now? And where do your regular walks take place? From where and to?
So basically, at the moment, we've got around, I think, like 100 plus now in the WhatsApp groups that we have, and we have probably around 50 to 80 attendees a week over the four areas we work in now. So we've expanded into, obviously, we started at Southwark, we're in Greenwich, where we Wallington, Woolwich, and Southwark, and we have the 5 walks a week. So they're really well attended each walk, and we're definitely growing each week.
It's fantastic. That has grown, really grown.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Georgia, Scott.
How you doing, George?
I'm doing fine, mate. I saw you and some of the blokes pictured at the Den recently, and apart from getting more of them to support the Lions, what is your ambition for the Proper Blokes Club going forward?
The ambition going forward is still to create either a community interest company and then lead on to a charity potentially, so we can really reach out to as many boroughs in London and try and reach as many lads that need this support, because obviously the growth that we've had in such a short time just shows that it's really needed. And the support from Millwall has been nothing but fantastic, really. They've really got involved with a lot of stuff, and they've helped us push it out there and pushed it on all their social media channels as well, which has been really good.
Well, anyway, all right, Scott, stand here, mate.
Right,
In terms of support, getting the club noticed, promoted and gathering people together, is there anything the listeners might help you with or help you get?
Do you know, it's really really easy, really, like, because it doesn't have to be any sort of financial commitment from anybody. I know I do some fundraising things, but just a simple share, do you know, because if you've got even just 20 people on your friends list over your social media pages, they might have hundreds of people throughout all them. So once you share a post, it can reach so many people. So what I've always said is, even if you feel, oh, this doesn't affect me whatsoever, but you think, oh, it might be an okay idea, give it a share, because the likelihood is that somebody on your friends list somewhere would like this idea. They would like to get involved in it. And they might be suffering in silence, you don't know. So by just giving it a share, that's all I can ask from people.
No, okay, mate, that's fair enough.
Thanks again for joining us, Scott. That's very informative. I will promise I'll get out to one of your walks as well, because they are meant to be very good, and I really want to be part of them.
No, they are. Please do.
You go, I will do. Before we go, though, please can we have a prediction for our game against Luton this Saturday?
I'm always the optimist, so I'm going to always go with the old 4-1, because we're bound to concede somewhere, even though we've got a top defence, but we're going to score some goals one game, and we're going to do really well with it. So 4-1 from me.
Brilliant. Brilliant. But before I go, I just while you're on, Scott, I know you might have come to your attention today. The Bournemouth player David Brooks, who got diagnosed with lymphoma cancer today. Look, my thoughts are out there with his family and friends, and from everyone here on the podcast, I wish him all the best. And I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, we all do. Yes.
Exactly.
No, definitely. It's funny you should say that, actually. Just the cancer is like, everyone has a terrible thing. I found out recently, a couple of weeks ago, that my friend had passed away from it, and I was only talking to him a month ago about going to see him and stuff like that. And it's just it's a real, like, it's one of these things similar to mental health. It doesn't discriminate. It's a terrible thing. But yeah, all my wishes go out to obviously him and a speedy recovery.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I agree. Brilliant. Thank you, Scott. We'll take a break there, and we will listen to Bethany Warren describing our most helpful app, the blind and those with low sight.
Thanks, Scott.
Hi, Bethany Warren here. Millwall Lionesses have partnered with international smartphone application Be My Eyes. Be My Eyes is an application that truly benefits the poor of sight and the blind, but is supported by those of us that can see.
You might wonder how blind people deal with everyday challenges. Well, normally the answer is simple. We're not that different from you. We play music. We go to school. We go to work. You get the picture. But sometimes the simplest things can be difficult, and we need a pair of eyes.
Connect to first available helper.
That's where you come in.
Establishing video connection.
Through your smartphone, Be My Eyes connects the blind with sighted people through a live video connection. Simply choose if you need help or want to help by the click of a button.
That's a nice picture of you and your family, Caroline. Is it for a present? Yes, it's a photo from my parents.
You can help just by installing the Be My Eyes app.
Correct image.
And we'll notify you when someone needs your help. And if you're in the middle of something, don't worry. Someone else will step in. So, would you care to be my eyes?
Download the app onto your smartphone now and help those that need your eyes straight away.
I'm Gary Staff, and I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Stan Godwin, George Lampey, and Debbie Julians. Can you imagine the difficulty in selecting the variation of the blue to Millwall's kit if you are blind? Why not get the app and help the blind and poor-sighted to make decisions? People continue to lose their lives to this dreadful virus or as a consequence of suffering with it. As deaths increase and infections continue, with high numbers also being hospitalised too, our thoughts go out to their families, friends and those that take care of them. Additionally, please respect the requirements of transport and other locations in reducing risk of infection to minimise the possibility of further lockdowns. Also be accepting of the preference of individuals in how they protect themselves also.
First off, what about sponsoring a player? Enjoying a great Executive Lounge VIP package with family and friends, or just getting behind the club in a number of different ways, and that includes business propositions from advertising to sponsorship. Just contact the lovely Andrew Stead, as Pat Maslin says, in the commercial department to find out more. The Lions Raw magazine has not hit the streets yet. Editor-in-chief Aisha Smith has not been well, and we wish her all a very good recovery. Nonetheless, it is anticipated that the magazine will go on sale at the Zampa Road gates on Saturday, before we play Luton at the Den, October the 16th. Good night from me.
Next week, Henry is back again on Friday at 8 p.m. to host another Orchid or two between a Wallflower or two show with Patricia Maslin, Ted Robinson and A.N. Other. From Wallflowers to game changers, the Proper Blokes Club continues to amass an incredible following, and their walks take on some fantastic strolls. Come along, as you heard tonight, join Scott Johnson, their leader, in breaking the stigma of men's mental health on any of the walk and talk groups, and there are a good few from familiar locations. Just check it out on the Proper Blokes Club or on Twitter and Facebook for arrangements. Good night.
Don't forget, player sponsorship for the Lionesses is still available this season. Why not share the burden between a few friends or even a couple of companies? You can give them some added support. You can find details on their website. Just put Millwall Lionesses into your browser and you will find them easy enough. Lastly, the Lionesses are still recruiting at the moment. If anybody is interested in coming down to St Paul's, Salter Road, Rotherhithe, please email recruitment@millwall-lionesses.com. I'll repeat that, recruitment@millwall-lionesses.com, or direct message either their Twitter or Instagram accounts at Millwall_LFC. And don't forget the Millwall Romans and Pride need you too. Go along on Wednesday nights at 7:30 at St Paul's Sports Ground and introduce yourself to player manager Paul Loding to find out about joining them also. Good night, stay safe everybody.
Don't forget, you can listen to the No One Likes Us Talking team, bring reports from our games from home and away, and additional updates on Millwall community matters on Maritime Radio, broadcasting on 96.5 FM. Also, why not listen to the first show of the new Millwall No One Likes, second show of the Millwall No One Likes Us Talking monthly podcast featuring Phil Coleman and Henry Morgan and Kai Bennett. As I say, the second show will be out on the 18th of October. Links are on our Facebook and Twitter social media sites and all popular podcast sites. That's it from me. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Stan. And thank you, George. Finally, let's not forget to keep it safe on the street out there. And it's good night from me.
Good night.